All right, cool. So it's basically called an MCP. I'm going to walk through that, what it actually is, walk through like what we did as this initial version, do a quick demo, walk through some use cases, what it can do now, and then talk about future state of it. So what is it? Basically, it's a new kind of standard or protocol that Claude or Anthropic behind Claude put out to kind of enable a standard way that these AI sort of tools can interact with third-party data outside of their knowledge. Kind of knowing that like these AI systems have a small context, like they can't work with like too much information. Like you can flood them with information and then, like hit sort of different bounds. This basically allows you to build very small entry points, essentially tools that you can build that the LLM knows what they are, what they're used for, and what are the inputs and what they're going to get back out of it, so that you can really do any actions. They can read data, they can push data, and it's all kind of wrapped around a standard way that it's interfacing. It just came out in the last couple of months, this sort of new standard. There's also a lot of people building things in it, but currently it's only supported on desktop clients. You actually have to install some stuff on your computer for these things to work right now. In Claude Desktop, you basically have to install our little application, and then you can use it within it. But it's a standard protocol, so people are starting to pick it up with other different LLMs. And I'll go more into the future later of why I think this is a good entry point and where it will go very quickly, I think, of how it can be used throughout. So the kind of prototype one that I've built is basically an integration that allows these AI assistants to interact with the DevHub over our API. So it's really just an API wrapper. So like all the things we're doing are all things we obviously you can do in our dashboard over our API, but this is like a wrapper that contextualizes it for the AI. So it knows like, again, best practices, what are the inputs that you want and examples, things like that in like plain English, essentially, so that it knows how to like interpret what you're sending it. So what can it do now? It's pretty basic. We can read location hours operation and we can update them. We can read blog posts. You can add and edit blog posts within the system. And then you can find locations near a geographic point, which is built into our API, mainly used right now just for discovery so that you can quickly find a location without knowing its specific ID in our system. So I'm going to walk through a quick demo. I'm going to use 2 different tools to walk through it, things that I've been messing around. Cool part is just like giving it weird stuff and see how it handles the different asks and see what it does. It does a really good job though overall if you're giving it. So I'm going to pop up here. This is a Claude. It shows this little tool icon here. And this is basically exposing what you have as far as tools go and like a summary of each of the tools it has access to. So these are our different actions it can take. And then we can use that to start to ask it things. You'd be like, can you get hours of operation? Okay.
Classic demo. Like Willow loves it.
Can you get
that? Was it Conan and Windows back in the day or whatever it was? Like,
all right, cool. So it's basically asking me for location ID because that's one of the inputs there. So like one of the improvements we want to do is discoverability, where you can like just give it a name of a location or things like that. But I'm going to use the other tool that it's in there, so I can do, can you get the location here? So again, it can automatically know, like, okay, I can go get the latitude, longitude of Los Angeles, and then it's just going to ask me for the business or project ID because it still needs a little info. So I'm going to give it the ID, and I'm going to pop over my window here. So this is the actual dashboard. This is like one of our test businesses, Food Town. It's pretty mangled at this point as far as design goes, but we won't go into that too much. But I'll grab this project ID and give it back to Claude here. Okay, so this is like a security thing. Basically, it'll prompt you if it's using the tools, so you can accept it. You can set settings to let it just go wild too. But it already knows like latitude and longitude. So it had that, and now it's grabbing the hours for this location. So it found our Los Angeles location. It gives us some key info about it. It then pulls the hours, and what we're giving it is like the structured info. It's the one deciding how to present it back to, the user, basically at their discretion. So then now you can also ask it to do things. So you can be like, update. 5 p.m.
You have to keep allowing the tool every time.
Yeah, you do right now. You can set it to override so you can do it all the time, or at least Claude makes you say yes every time. Other tools you can say yes for this whole session or yes forever.
And is that something you configure when you build the tool, or is that?
No, it's a user preference thing.
Okay, good.
And it's on, like on a tool level. So like if it's like something that's very like, okay, reading hours, I'm safe. I'm good with that all the time, right? I don't need you to ask me to read hours, but maybe it's update. You don't want to do that. It's kind of up to the user. But Claude Desktop specifically like prompts you every time. Yeah, you're just, again, you can do like a lot of contextual things. So it already updated the hours to 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then you can just, again, ask in natural language, can you update Friday to 6? Cool. Those are like the different sort of actions. Again, like this is in our staging environment. I can show you this beautiful food town site. Here's our hours and they're updated here on the site. It has the context of your conversation. So you can also be like, can you update, let's see, maybe can you set the same hours for so it has enough context to know, like, I'm already in this project. I already have, I loaded up Los Angeles, and now I'm going to update. I'm going to find the Portland one, and then I'm going to update that. So it just triggered all those different chain of events automatically based on what you were asking it to do.
And you can always just set it to basically not tell you anything, and it'll just be like done.
Yeah.
So like a story that I've told out there in the wild, and forgive me if it was a little bit too far into the future, is that essentially like a brand can say, hey, go one day, soon maybe even, but what can be like, hey, update, there was a storm in the Northwest, update all of my hours to, show that there was like a storm or whatever, that our locations are closed. And or on the flip side, something a little bit more positive is like, hey, update this promo for this, like the Northwest region of our, again, stores. Right? Like they can actually do that, but like AKA the most basic person can do that. It doesn't have to be
once it has access. Yeah. And it's really about us to, again, expose the context of like, again, what field do they need to update? What format it needs.
How far
at this point, we really need to let it access the custom fields and see if it can discern between them based on a prompt. Like, hey, update the homepage hero to be this image and see if it can do that. That to me is like the big thing.
Yeah. So the way that we'd expose it is we would be like, here, basically the tools we would give it is the ability to know, here's all the fields that are available. Here's their types. Here's their labels. And then it could look at an existing location or site and then be like, okay, these are the current values. This is what I can change it to.
This would help us standardize a lot of this stuff.
You see Ben's question related to the permissions?
Did we create a user account for this AI thing to plug into our system?
It's tied to just an API key. So it's tied to a user. So yeah, permissions are ours.
You could set it up that like X person can't just do whatever they want to the business.
Yeah. And that just follows our natural permission. So like if you say a franchisee, if you gave a franchisee, again, one click, get them a key, they could only update their site.
Is this exciting to people, or is this like, okay, cool. Wow. All right.
I feel like this is exciting because this is just like literally scratching the surface of what we could do with something like this. I've been having a conversation with a friend who's using this in totally different ways that is bringing up ideas of how we could integrate this to like save a lot of time on our production end.
This is where you don't need a dashboard anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there are just so many things we're not even thinking of yet.
So if any of you ever figure out how we tell this story to the outside world,
create a new service.
Know how to tell the
Use
story.
this doc I uploaded as the content.
So we can update stuff through an Excel spreadsheet, which even managers understand how to use. Some people can't even do that, and this is for them. Like if you can't operate an Excel spreadsheet, you're money now. We just gave you something where you can just type dumb shit and you'll win. And that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Everyone
mean,
can
again,
do that.
like JT's saying, instead of the spreadsheet, now they literally would just go in here and be like, create a new location, do
The
the.
real value is on the bulk actions that you want to be able to do. Again, just telling you to update hours for one location, okay, that's whatever. But if you need to do a complex ask, like for example, I can't do this right now, but when we hook in special hours, you could be like, I want you to put special hours for every location for Christmas to be closed. And then it would just
What if you try to do that now?
Yeah, it will fail
How will it fail though?
because it doesn't know.
Do the demo. Show me what it says when you tell it to make Cinco de Mayo with special hours.
Yeah.
Resistance is futile.
Update.
I want to see it fail spectacularly.
Cinco de Mayo. Do 10 a.m.
I'm curious to see how it parses this. Yeah,
Yeah, see, it knows that we don't have handling for that.
Yeah. Set special holiday hours for both locations, specifically on May 5th, regardless of which day of the week it falls on.
Hey, do we actually have that in our system? Because I don't remember ever coding that. Can we do holiday hours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not even know we had that capability yet.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We haven't used it because we don't have a lot of physical locations in a while, but we have a lot of service area businesses. So one other thing I was going to show real quick. So this is Cursor. Again, this is like a standard. So like these AI tools are picking it up. This is Cursor. It's like more of a developer IDE, but it supports the same protocol. So again, we can ask it the same kind of questions. You know, can you get hours of operation? We'll see if it comes back with the same thing or if it's smarter this time. All right, cool. Can you get a notification? It's asking me for a business ID, so I'm going to grab that real quick again.
Can't we get that from the location ID? That's on us, right?
Yeah, and we just have to build more discoverability tools where you could provide like the URL, the location, or the name, or like other inputs there to like make it easier to discover the location. But yeah, if you had the location ID, you could provide it right away. It says, you know, up here, it's like if you have a location, you could get it right then.
Would there be a way to
So,
tie like the location ID to the account so they don't even have to worry about that?
Yeah, it really, if it has enough context. So like if you're a franchisee and you have one location, we could tell it that they only have one, so you don't need to ask for it. All right, so I'm going to grab the hours here. Okay, so just pull back again, the hours are the ones that are in the system, but then you can, again, in the context of whatever the LLM does, you can do things. Can you generate a CSV file with each day to be able to do this? All right, I've got the CSV file here. So this is where like it intermingles, like you could use this, any information in DevHub to like help you code things. You could have it write an HTML file or a snippet or things like that right from the interface. And then I'm going to go back to the blog post stuff. Again, there's like a limited context, so starting new chats is usually better if you're going to do something completely different. So I have like a blog post here that I've downloaded. This is one that we posted, I think, recently here. So this is just a Google Doc, little draft blog post here that got written up. So we're going to this blog post. So I downloaded it as a Word doc here. So you can attach files in these and be like, can you post? So this one, it needs to know the site ID that you want to post it to. Once they have that, you can post this. So I'm going to put this on Ballard here. Blogs. We got one post in here right now. And again, it has context of like best practices over how it's supposed to format the blog post. You'll see it'll like tank for a little bit, or it's generating this and on the fly, where it's converting it to like formatted HTML.
this is the real test.
Yeah, basically. This is what Daniel freaks out about every time someone posts a blog.
Yeah, so strip out all the styling.
Every time. It's like, what the
I'm curious about how it handles foreign languages too.
Yeah.
Is it able to Does it need us to speak in English to give commands, or can it figure it out?
No, it should be able.
Say like someone from Quebec is typing all in French. Will it be able to handle that?
LLMs are so good at language translation.
It's like the one thing.
It is their strongest ability.
Cool. So it posted the blog post. Refresh real quick. So now we got our blog post.
What's it look like?
Oh shit! Okay.
And then again,
Go to HTML. I just want to see what it looks like in there. Just clean.
look how beautiful that match.
Did it add the image?
It
Yeah,
didn't, because basically Claude
not have
can't
access.
handle images right now. It doesn't have like the image ability right now. But I have a way for it to do it, which I've tried. But it tanks on base 64, which is how we store our images. It likes to just output the whole base 64 very slowly until it actually moves forward. But yeah, it should be able to do images after we build the tools to allow it to manage images. Like, because we wanted to upload it to DevHub, for example, and all that. So I'm going to go back and you can do, again, I've been messing around with it. We'll try to see if it can translate this to you. This blog post has like these like examples here. So I was just messing around. I was like, can you add another example? So you can like, yeah, 10th example, managing swatch colors, or let's see. Oh, this would be printing. So it's going to go grab the blog post again, and it's going to update it. It's going to write. It's going to creative write for us real quick. The key thing is it's like it can interpret the article, know where it's supposed to put the content, and write it in where appropriate.
What file types work the best in Claude right now?
I mean, any sort of like Word doc, PDF files.
But nothing image really, because I've tried feeding it like PDFs of Figma files, and it doesn't
Yeah.
work shit.
I mean, you can upload a lot of different types, but yeah, as far as like for blog posts, yeah, any sort of like, I mean, you can send it a markdown file probably too.
And once it converts it, it's kind of whatever at that point.
All right, so I just wrote some stuff. Let's go see what it did. Refresh. Okay, so I added this new example here. Painting franchises, paint catalogs, multiple locations can use it to store and organize their entire paint catalog, complete with color codes. When new seasonal colors are introduced, automatically reflect over all franchise websites. This is about our content database.
We should all give up at this point. I think.
I keep thinking like we're all going to be rich because of that. Like, is that not the same feeling? We can stay this size forever.
But there's a lot of content we manage that this would have to like work against. Pages, templates, repeating items, etc.
This is when COD breaks the context right here. You'll see this message. It's because I'm using the free account. But basically, it can't add more to its knowledge of our current session. You can start a new session though. Update. Can you translate blog post? An ID here. See what it does. We're gonna go grab the blog post. See what he does with it next. All right, so he's translating it inline. But yeah, probably if he's just translating it inline here, then you would just be like, can you update the post with this content? It would go live. Cool.
Sorry, this might be a dumb question, but like when you restarted the next session, you didn't have to tell it to go to DevHub again. You just told it.
So I did, like, I had to give it some specific information. So I already knew the blog post ID, so it had enough information to take its action. So it didn't need any context of our previous conversations, because it got it all from retrieving. The first step is they got the blog post, so they got the content, and then it went ahead with it.
Oh, so the ID for the blog post is unique.
Yeah, and it looks like Claude decided to switch to start talking to me in Spanish. I don't know how to ask it in Spanish to post it to DevHub, but post it.
Jess, do you know?
Gonna say K.
Let's switch back.
Yeah, it switched back, but it also, I don't know if it actually. Yep. There we go. It's gonna go.
I could just see where we could engineer just like really clean site experiences for clients of like, you could do blogs, you can create a new page, add offers, special offers.
Yeah, you basically just have to give it the context. It can do the rest of putting it in the right format for us.
And do you think this would we wouldn't have to ask clients for translations? This is pretty accurate.
I mean, it does a really good job. Like, it's going to be a lot better than like the classic old Google Translate widgets and things. It's definitely like one of the top, basically, like technologies or jobs that it's eliminated this translation, because it's pretty good at it. Cool. All right, so it also switched back to talk to me in Spanish. Thank you, Claude. It also updated our blog post. Cool. But yeah, you can ask it, like, if you send it like, here's the image URL, can you put it to the top of the post? It can do those things too. You know, it has context of how to write it in HTML. Cool. So that was the demo. Future state, obviously there's going to be continuing support for this MCP, because again, like, it's like a standard, so people are starting to pick it up. And you can have multiple MCPs installed at one time, so you can like move information from one system to another. You could have it access Google Drive to get the doc or different things like that, and then put it into DevHub. I think in the near future, I don't know the timeline, but where it's more of like an app marketplace kind of thing, where you just search for DevHub, you hit install, it'll ask you for your API key, or even bump you to DevHub to say, yes, I authorize this app kind of thing. And then it will be available to like everybody using, you know, the web clients and things, which it is not right now. Right now you have to install some technology on your computer for this to work. But I think that's probably in the realm of 3 to 6 months. I think they'll have it so that this all works.
Hell yeah.
So then you can be like, hey, I'm talking to a client on a call. It's like, hey, you want to connect to DevHub? Well, I'll give you an API key or whatever. And then I'm going to stop presenting and